In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight and sitting across from me is the one, the only, Cash Kraus.
Yes.
That might have been a little
A little dramatic,
a little
I would
too
say.
dramatic,
Yeah,
I would say.
But yeah, we are here. Another throwback Thursday.
Yes.
An exciting day.
This is a very exciting day.
Because this is a series that I wanted to do when we were doing our franchises during the summer.
Yep.
But those bastards at Netflix took it off when I wanted to do it.
It was actually weird because it was like right when you wanted to do it, they wiped it off the face
I'm like,
of
this
the
movie's been on
platform.
Netflix for like 4 years. No way they're going to take it off. We can wait a week. So we did, and they took it off.
Unfortunately, but we did find it now on HBO MAX.
HBO Max
Both
is
of them.
coming through. They got a lot of good.
They got a lot of good shit on HBO Max these days.
They do.
Number one subscriber right here. That and Amazon. Amazon has great films as well. So
Yeah, but yeah, we are finally getting to it. We are doing Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 1. We will be getting to Volume 2
next week.
So look out for that. But we are doing Kill Bill Volume 1. We've done quite a few Tarantino movies now, I think.
We have.
I'm staring at Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, we got that. Oh, dang it.
I
Before
know,
the
we
podcast
should've
started,
switched.
I would have just switched out the poster.
It's all right.
'cause
Just know
we have a Reservoir
we
Dogs
do.
poster.
We're not
Yes.
lying about that. We
No,
do
we're
have a
not.
Reservoir Dogs poster. But
Damn it.
yeah, I know.
I know, now that you told me that, now I'm like really pissed off. I would have switched the poster.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, Kill Bill. I've probably seen this film probably around 10 times now.
Wow,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. I love this movie. Kung Fu film. They call it a martial arts film because I think that's the PC term for it now. But it is a Kung Fu film among a lot of other genres sprinkled in there. Western, because it's Tarantino.
Of course.
He takes pieces from all his favorite films, pretty much plagiarizes, and combines it into one cohesive story. That's why he's allowed to get away with it.
And you say pieces, and you're so right, because like the things that he does is never over the top.
Yeah.
Even with the sound effects and stuff, he uses them at the right time, and he doesn't overuse them.
Yes.
You know, like the Seeing Red, the
Which was very fun to parody in the early 2000s.
Yes.
After this came out, there's a lot of films that...
Could you imagine if YouTube or like TikTok or whatever was around?
Oh my God, you're
this
right.
would have just exploded with.
Thank God that most of these TikTokers were born right
They
around
were-
2003.
yeah, they were.
So,
So thank God we don't have to see that circulating.
yes, so
on the
they are
internet these
completely
days.
unaware of
They
this
don't even know
film.
what Kill Bill is.
No idea. Absolutely. I do unfortunately think this one kind of gets missed among the Tarantino films.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I think Pulp Fiction and Glorious Bastards, I think those are the big ones. Django.
Yep.
But I think this one kind of gets missed, and it's not right.
Not right at all. Because,
No.
like, I'll be honest with you. I saw this movie when it first came out, but I was like a kid. So, you know, when you're 9 or 10 years old, you don't really comprehend a film. But this is my first time since then watching the full viewing. This is one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films. I love
Oh, it's
this
amazing,
movie.
yeah.
But it's fun. It is so much fucking fun, dude.
It is fun.
Like from start to finish.
It's a little less wordy than some of his other films.
Very
It's
much
a
so.
lot more, but they had to pack a ton of action
And of
into
course,
a 2-hour.
with any Quentin Tarantino film, you got to get those feet.
Oh,
in
you
there.
gotta get feet up there.
This was a close up on the feet too.
Well, this was
Purposeful.
This was before people knew he had a real problem.
Yeah, a real foot fetish, which is better than having
Now
a
he
fetish
does it.
like a hammer.
Yeah, but now it's his. It's like his calling card. Unfortunately, I do not love feet.
I've never understood that.
I'm not. Every time I see, and because now he does it, because now he's being cheeky, and he knows. Because now he'll do it. There'll be like a 5-minute foot scene,
right?
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Feet.
That girl just feet right up on.
Well, not
the
only that.
dash.
Every female showed their feet at one point. Yeah. So there's a lot of fucking feet in that one, but yeah, not as much feet in this one. But yeah, we get it. Of course, it's Tarantino.
Right in the pussy wagon, too.
Yeah. And if anything, we know he loves Uma Thurman's feet.
He does.
Of course, she shows him Pulp Fiction as well. Yes. It's he will cast you purely on your foot design.
On the aesthetics of your feet. Yeah, of course.
Which is unfortunate.
It is a little bit.
Skipping over a lot of people with ugly feet.
A lot of talent, too, out there that may not have the most beautiful feet. But Quentin Tarantino says, hey, I will mold you to be the actor that I want you to be. Let me see those feet first.
That's very true. But there's so many great female roles in this movie.
There is.
Because, of course, I hope everyone kind of knows the premise by now. Kill Bill's only named, or it's not her name. Her name isn't Kill Bill. Her name is The Bride. Uma Thurman. That's the only time you hear her name.
Because they bleep out her name, which I found
very
they
want to keep that
unique.
They want to keep that mystery. And I think it's also maybe a old kung fu movie kind of thing where they bleep out the main characters so you don't know kind of the mystery of this. Yeah. And also a Western thing, too, where, like, the Lone Ranger. But, yeah, we have Lucy Liu, plays O-Ren. She's fucking Lucy Liu in 2003.
Cottonmouth.
Probably the hottest person in 2003.
Wow,
Lucy Liu. She was unbelievable.
If you had an award for 2003, she would get it, huh?
I would have to give it to her. I just don't know who else. But, yeah, Lucy Liu plays O-Ren. She's fucking awesome. I definitely want an O-Ren spinoff when she's a kid.
Yeah, with the whole story of her parents getting murdered by the Yakuza.
Yeah, I want to see how she, becomes the leader of the Crazy 88s,
Dude,
they're a crazy group of guys.
Group. Yeah, they are.
They're a little wacky.
I mean, they even had a 17-year-old girl who was a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you're not going to tell her no, though.
No.
You're not going to say you can't be in the group.
I love that. She's like, do you want to fuck me at the bar? And he's like, yes. She cuts out his intestines and just is laughing about it. His blood
such a badass. That's what everything in this film, all the people are just the biggest badasses.
Yes.
They're so fucking cool. It's like usually in film, you can only have one person be the badass. But this one, everyone has some kind of, even the guy, I can't remember his name, but the boss of the Crazy 88s.
Oh, okay.
He's a badass too.
Yeah.
At some point he's climbing walls and shit. It's very cool.
It is.
But yeah,
the choreography is a lot of fun in this too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, the story goes, the bride, she was on her wedding day. 5 people of the Deadly Viper assassination group come in and they mow everyone down, which was 9 people, not a big wedding. Well, luckily they didn't invite 100 people.
Technically 10, they only killed 9.
Technically, well, it would have been 11. Because, or is she counting the baby?
She's counting the baby as 10.
Okay, so it would have been 10, yeah. Well, they fucked up not killing 10, and she says that.
Yeah, she did.
She says they killed 9 on that day, but they should have killed 10 because you do not want to leave one survivor.
You don't. It's never a good idea. If you're going to go to the extent of killing 9, make sure they're all dead.
I love the opening scene. It just fucking jumps us right into the action when she goes to Vivica A. Fox's house, and she... A crazy fight scene. You get it right off the bat. I was too young to see this in theaters, obviously.
Yeah. Mom and Dad ain't going to take you when you're 8, 9 years old.
But I would have loved to see this in theaters and have that opening and been there with everyone else and be like, holy fuck. Because you think that's going to... Because it sets the tone immediately.
Exactly. What a way to grab the audience attention.
Yes.
With a killer fight scene in a house like that.
And just showing how fucking cold-blooded the Black Mamba is. Yep. When she... Although she was her hand was forced, but throwing that fucking dagger into the heart when she tries to shoot her, oh, it's so cool.
Well, and I love the dialogue in that scene because she's like, oh, fair. She goes, no, fair is killing your daughter in front of you, waiting for your husband to come home, killing him in front of you, and then killing you. That's fair.
I love when she kills Vivica A. Fox. What was her name, Cottonmouth or something?
No, Cottonmouth was O-Ren.
Oh,
but
right.
She was...
I can't remember what Vivica A. Fox was.
What.
They're all Vipers.
Yeah, they all
But, she was Copperhead.
Copperhead.
That's Copperhead. But yeah, I love when she kills her and then the daughter comes in. And she's like, well, I'll be seeing you. Because now the
If
daughter's...
if you feel like you still have anger when you grow up,
I'll be
waiting for you.
Which sets the tone
It
for the full
does.
fucking movie. That this is just a straight up revenge tale.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But it sets the tone that she's willing to kill fucking anyone to get to Bill.
Gotta
Played
kill
by
Bill.
David Carradine.
May he rest in peace.
Yes.
That strange motherfucker.
Unfortunately, he died in a
And a sex act?
an incredibly humiliating way to die. But I'm glad he got one more kick-ass role with Bill. You know, he was able to play an awesome bit before he died of a very embarrassing sex act.
Very, very embarrassing. It was almost World's Greatest Dad embarrassing, right? The Robin Williams film with the boy asphyxiation.
That's not that embarrassing because he's a kid, and David Carradine is a full-grown man with a lot riding on it.
Right, and a lot of money too. I mean, he could have taken out those desires, you know, paid a woman or to at least spot him. You need a spot.
You need absolutely.
You have to
That is
have
the
a
one thing I
spotter.
want. If you are going to do the whatever it's called, I can't.
Asphyxiation, strangling.
Asphyxiation, is that what it's called?
It's something along those lines.
Always have a spotter.
You have to have a spotter, folks.
Yeah.
Because if you're passed out, who's going to untie you?
And it's always more fun with multiple people also.
Of course.
So you got someone else ringing the
more
bell.
the merrier.
That's fun.
It is.
But
Doing it
being
by
alone
yourself,
in a hotel room,
bro, there's better ways.
you can hit that
ways.
high. There's other ways to hit that
There
high, baby.
There are a lot of ways.
But he's great in this. You never see him in the first one, unfortunately, but you get a lot more David Carradine. You just get that voice in his hands. But you can tell the film is so well written that you can tell every time he's talking, people are listening.
Yes.
Like this guy, like all these killers are badasses, but this guy is the
They
one
all
in
have
charge.
this weird attraction to him too. It's like this.
Yes.
It's almost like a dad and daughter thing, but it's like a weird.
Well, it's like
weird
Munchausen syndrome.
Yes,
Where
exactly.
you start to fall in love with your captor. And that's what
That's what it feels
yeah.
like the whole time. You know, when he's like over her shoulders,
Or like a
and I'm
colt.
"Ugh."
Yeah.
A colt, yes,
Which
very
is
much so.
Munchausen syndrome pretty much. But yeah, they are very, or even when she's calling him on the phone when she's about to poison her in the hospital.
Yes.
And he's like, lower your voice. And she immediately fucking just goes quiet. Yeah. Badass. He's got a great voice too,
He
David
does.
Carradine.
He really does.
But,
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, he was in some kung fu film. That's what's awesome is everyone in this film kind of has like ties to action films or something. Quentin Tarantino, obviously we know, he likes to put in little tiny pieces that no one would know unless you went through like the trivia and read it.
Yep.
And in any Quentin Tarantino film, there's so many fucking trivia pieces because every little scene is usually inspired from a scene from another movie. Yeah. So that always warrants a giant trivia piece on it. But there's so many little tiny pieces like that sprinkled out through this film. But yeah, it's great. I love the animation scene too. The anime scene is so good and pretty experimental.
That's what I love about this film, dude, is like it really is when you said this to open up the podcast where Quentin Tarantino takes pieces. I really felt that's what it was, but all the pieces combined made it was beautiful storytelling. I love the animation scene, dude. When that happened and then you get the story of O-Ren and how she came to be with killing the Yakuza eventually one day.
And her dad dying, that's the scene, even though it's animated, the animation is beautiful, by the way. It's done by Production IG, which is a Japanese animation company. But it's fucking sad when they stab her mom and she's under the bed and blood starts
dripping on her.
Yeah.
And then that one psycho lights the fire, right? Obviously to destroy all the evidence. And then she goes, luckily, I forget the boss's name, was a pedophile. So when she was 11 years old,
was it Yakatana
or something along those lines. But anyway, she stabs him. And she goes, oh, do I look familiar?
Yeah.
And you see kind of the crazy coming out of her in the animation. Yeah. And she's like, oh, do I look familiar? Maybe the two people that you murdered. And his face,
and then the guys
everywhere.
rushing in and her jumping on her and blowing their legs
up. What kind of fucking gun was that?
It's anime, bro.
Yeah.
that's what anime is.
A powerful gun.
You never just get shot in anime. You're fucking. And that's very kung fu-esque too, which is something awesome that he did. And I'm talking about these little tiny details is he didn't use squibs. In old kung fu movies, they didn't really have the technology for squibs, they use condoms full of blood. So whenever you got hit or something, it really fucking explode. And that's why the blood is so vibrant in this. Is because every time they get shot, it's a fucking explosion. It's condoms filled with blood.
So I'm confused. So what do you just like? You pop them?
Yeah, you just pop them.
Oh,
And they, I mean,
okay.
there's ways to pop them, but
Yeah.
that's what they are. Is just Japanese condoms. That's what they did before squibs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Before, you had like the radio trigger and everything like that. Yeah. So that's, I mean, that's something you don't need to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't. You could do squibs that, or just blow up more blood. But he's very, he is the king of indie filmmaking. Even though he's so popular now and mainstream,
He can get his films funded for hundreds of millions of dollars.
he still keeps that indie vibe and everything. That experimental, that a lot of people, mainstream people, wouldn't be willing to put a 10-minute animated sequence into a very hard R rated film.
Right. But it worked perfectly.
But it's Tarantino, man.
and it's
He's the best
it's
of
so
the best.
uniquely Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's just one of the best filmmakers around. It's because it's just so uniquely
he
him.
is. He continues to do it. But yeah, we were just talking about, for our Indian fans,
Yes.
is that was inspired by an Indian film
Yes, it was.
that replaced violence with animation.
Yeah. The film was Olive Von Dawn, 2001, starring Kamal Hassan.
Yeah.
And it was, he had a conversation with Anurag Kashyap about it, who's one of our favorite, Gangs of Wasseypur,
Yeah, he's great. He really is kind of like the Indian Quentin Tarantino. I don't want to say that in like as famous though, but he's kind of started out as an actor and then became a director like Quentin Tarantino. But yeah, he told Anurag that was from, and I saw pieces of the film. The film doesn't look that great. But if he sees a scene that he likes in any film, he buries that and he's able to produce it. But yeah, we were talking about earlier, he sees every fucking film.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they're like
It's so
below
impressive.
average, I mean, if they're bad, he sees everything, but still has time to write these masterpieces.
Yeah. It is a very superhuman quality to be able to watch as much film as he does, to be able to write as great as he does, and then able to direct those films as well as he does. It's wild. I mean, his whole life, in my opinion, is completely and utterly dedicated to film. I mean, this guy is definitely a scholar of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you just don't watch as many films as Quentin Tarantino.
You can't.
Not even us.
You
we have a
can't.
podcast on
You
it.
can't.
And this
Well,
guy-
he started out working in a movie rental place, so all he did was watch films. Even when he was working, that's all he did was watch films. But man, he has an incredible library that he's been able to just pull up on a whim. But yeah, it's gonna be sad when he stops making filmmaking, or when he starts making films, which is 2 movies from now. But it's gonna be a very good day when he starts writing books about film, because he's gonna be like the Plato
Yeah. Well, that's what
of filmmaking.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
And I can't wait for those books.
yeah, either can I.
I'm gonna gobble those things
Oh
up.
my
dude.
God.
I'm gonna get an audiobook of it. I'm gonna get the physical copy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it all.
I've said this before, but I'll reiterate that he writes a book, it will become the textbook of any filmmaking school. I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
Because he has just so much knowledge about it. It is wild.
And his films are so unique too. Every single film is unique, and he uses pieces from a lot of different decades of film too.
Oh, yeah.
Like even with Kill Bill, he was using a lot of 70s and 80s techniques in this film.
Yes.
For specific scenes, even the black and white scene, when they
Yes.
fight the 88.
Which is great. We got to talk about that. Black and white was used because the MPAA, those fucking bastards, said you can't use that much blood, which is wild.
So why? It's
Because
so stupid.
fucking kung fu films in the 70s in China were using that much blood. In the 70s. And they didn't give a fuck.
Of course not.
But when those films would come over here in the 70s, our board would say there's too much blood, you can't show them on TV. So they would make every kung fu film be in black and white. So I guess if you're like you don't know what's spraying out what's coming out of that guy's
it's
head.
chocolate syrup.
It's-
What the fuck do you I mean, come on.
I don't know. It's
Less
so,
restrictions.
Oh yeah,
Less restrictions.
for-
It's so frustrating.
I am a very strong opponent of any kind of restrictions toward the art.
Yes.
Art should be
Unquestionably.
very free, but Yeah, so he had to do that in black and white, but the Japanese version, which I've never seen, you can watch, and that fight scene is in color. So I want to search out that Japanese scene because I can only imagine it's just puddles of fucking blood.
Yeah. Well, do you know the finale? The finale of this, when they're fighting the 88,
Yes,
took
at the House of Blue Leaves.
At the house, yes, and when she's fighting Oren, took 8 weeks to film just that. But I mean, it makes sense because there's so much going on.
My God.
So much blood, so many limbs.
Uma
just laying
Thurman
around
must have
everywhere.
been fucking dying, dude. She's running around. So she was
In the best shape of her life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine every single day, like you're on set 12 to 14 hours every single day.
And even though it's a
you're
prop
working that
sword,
hard.
you are even just swinging your arms around constantly.
Oh my God,
you are
dude.
gonna get fucking tired
for sure.
But she must
She
have
kills
been
it, though.
worn out. Oh yeah, she's phenomenal in this. She's
really
such
is.
she's a great actress too.
And I love the Japanese scene where she plays like the dumb blonde American when she shows up to the Japanese store. I don't know what kind of store it was, whatever, but
it was just a restaurant.
it was hilarious because she was like, "Oh yeah, I know a little Japanese. I learned it today."
The
She's
Hataru
playing dumb.
Hanzo scene.
Yes,
when
that's
she
right.
goes to meet him for the sword. Yeah.
This is a Hataru-san sword. Yeah, well, now that half your head is gone, Ren.
I love when she right before, because that snow final showdown obviously ties from samurai films with the snow falling, the Japanese garden. It's so fucking beautiful and well done. But I love
You
when
got
she's
the little water thing go bloop.
exactly. It feels and everything is so quiet, and you just the score and everything is just kind of that quick kind of.
That's something too that we have to bring up. The score for this film is phenomenal. I
Yeah.
fucking love it. It's always at the appropriate times.
That's one that, yeah, he's so, I mean, it must be nice to be able to use any song you want, but he pulls songs from, like, again, early decades that you haven't heard in a while, but they're perfect. Yeah. And sometimes those songs that you wouldn't think would match the scenario, like when they're in that fighting scene when she's doing the Crazy Eights, he plays, like, a very, like, I can't remember what the song is, but it's a very quick and, like, uplifting kind of fun song. When she's hacking away at these guys, cuts one guy straight down the middle. It's fucking
so funny.
brutal. I know. This scene is it's so over the top, but it's kung fu film-esque.
Exactly. Or like how she's, and that's what I'm okay with.
Exactly.
Know
'Cause you
what
know
you
kind
want.
of what you're getting into.
Yes.
Also,
For sure. And it's definitely otherworldly. Like you don't feel like this is in our world. It's in like this different.
it's in the
type of,
Tarantino
like,
verse.
Yeah, exactly.
Where these things.
And I love when she's flying up in the air when she's on the balcony. And like she's hanging on, and she goes like this, pulls up, and she just flings up.
Oh yeah, dude! It's
I love
that
it, 'cause
that
it's-
high wire kind
Yes.
of that we see, and every kung fu, and I love that too. And exactly, it's not like the first half of the film was like a drama, and then all of a sudden it turned into this the whole thing, like you said, it keeps the pace of that, so you know exactly what you're getting into. And we see that all the time, where like the first half will be one film, and the second half will totally turn up, and it doesn't really make sense. But it's perfect for this one because the entire film is pretty over the top.
Yeah.
But I love, that scene. She pokes one guy's eye out, which you'll
She's
see.
like, "Ah!"
You'll see in the second one how she learns that. But even when like at the end when they're crawling, when some of them are still alive, you still see that guy in the background, and he's freaking out.
I love when she stands on top. She goes, "Leave all your limbs; they are mine." She goes, "You too, stay right there."
Because he's like picking up his arm. It's so funny.
just fucking limbs everywhere,
actually-
blood everywhere.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen this, there's 300 guys running this
Oh,
building.
yeah.
And
So
at the
many.
end, there's still 100, but they are mortally wounded, but they're crawling out. And like, there's so many of them. It's like a river of guys
it is.
crawling.
I love the club owners too, because the woman's walking around.
Yeah,
she's
the
like,
guy that
"Oh," and she's like slipping
Charlie
in blood.
Brown or whatever.
Charlie Brown. Yeah.
I never understood that, why they made him look like Charlie Brown. But yeah, it's so good. It's just so much fun too. And there's that scene lasts for so long, that fucking fight scene.
It does.
But they're able to go into like different environments. Like when she goes upstairs and then it turns like all blue and you just see the silhouettes. It's really well done.
It is.
They don't
It is
stay in
incredibly
just
well
that
done.
area, but they move around. But yeah, Crazy 88s.
Well, there's not
You need
88
a
of them
few more
anymore.
guys.
Yeah. How about 888?
You need a
That's what
few
you're going
more
to need to
guys.
take on this
But
one.
that scene is so fucking brutal, even when it's in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Just when people get their limbs cut off, it is just a waterfall of fucking. I love the scene when they're showing O-Ren when it's like the Yakuza meeting.
The meeting, yes.
And the guy is so pissed.
Not happy.
She's a half breed.
She's
she's a tri.
half bear, half pig, half man bear pig. No,
Yeah.
she's American, Chinese, and Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah. But she says, "Hey, look." And I love that. I love she has a translator.
Yeah.
She's very calm and composed. She's like, "Hey, look, you guys are willing to disagree with me on things, and I'm willing to hear you out. But one thing you're not allowed to do is bring up my American or Chinese heritage."
I love as soon as he calls her that, you just hear so fast. No one knows what did it. And then it cuts her head off, and it is again a geyser. It's so much blood.
Shooting up
and then it
blood.
just goes like a sprinkler as it starts to die off.
Well, there's only so much blood in that.
Yeah, and then she whips the sword and it just sprays one of the
That
guys.
guy's like, "Oh," because he didn't know if he was getting hit
But yeah,
or
she
not,
goes,
too.
one thing you can't do is talk about my heritage. But yeah, that seems
Because that is actually, I mean, most people know this, but the Yakuza, you have to be,
Well,
Japanese.
in
full
any-
Japanese.
in the
Well, same
mafia,
with the
you have to be
mafia, you have to be
full-blooded
full
Italian. Yeah,
Italian.
in the Irish mob, you got to be. Yeah, they don't really want.
Seems like subtle racism going on in these groups.
Oh,
a little bit. I mean, come on.
They
Come
said
on.
they
Can we
said
call
it because they couldn't trust. Like you would be.
Just
If I'm
based
half
on-
American, I have to be embedded with Americans.
Right, it doesn't make any sense.
But
Where
yeah,
do your
really, it was just an
loyalties
excuse
lie?
to be racist.
It is.
of course.
Of course.
And she is a big proponent of racism. You can tell.
She is. In all fairness, we got to call a spade, right?
But I love the realism of that scene too, where the guy hits the plate and like he cuts his hand or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I noticed
it's
that
really
too.
good.
It brought back Leonardo DiCaprio.
Exactly.
You know, we could
Kind
Django.
of. Well, I'm
Django.
sure Tarantino's behind the camera just going, roll with it. We love it. We love it. This is the kind of thing you love.
Probably where Leo learned it from.
Very possible. But
Watch Kill Bill.
but yeah, that scene, that's one of my favorite scenes.
It is. It's such a good scene.
It sets O-Ren up perfectly that she is just this badass. Yeah, and she can speak English too.
Who?
O-Ren.
Oh, Ren. Yeah. Well,
but
that's
she
why
uses
she
a
had the
translator.
translator. Yeah.
But it's funny because what's her name? I can't remember O-Ren's like second in command.
The girl. Are you talking about her bodyguard?
Oh, Julie Dreyfuss is her name in real life.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she's half Japanese, half French in this, and then the other guy is Chinese. So they were both part of like part Japanese, part Chinese. She kept one and one together. So combined, she's kind of whole.
It is true. You bring a half.
Although
and
she
half
didn't keep
together.
one American around,
She did not. No.
except
Well, you can't really trust the Americans.
yeah, that's true.
Come
That's
on.
true. But yeah, she got her demise. She got a little taken off the top.
She did. A little too
too
much.
much.
You know, that's why you pay for a good hairstylist. okay?
Exactly.
You pay for a bad one, that shit could happen to you.
Yeah.
Right? So
But I love that. He at first he wanted her head to be completely decapitated, but she had to have been able to see the Haruo Hanzo sword.
yes.
So they just
Which would have been hard if she's fully decapitated and her
She
head
won't.
is like
But I love at first when she's like, "Who made you that sword?" When she's kind of grilling her about it, and she goes, "Oh, this? It's a Haruo." She goes,
little
"You
guy?"
lie!" She gets so mad.
she's pissed. Well, that was her protege.
Yeah,
Or his protege.
yeah, and he wouldn't refuse to make her the swords. I guess the theories, because there's so many theories to this film, because the people that love this film fucking love this film.
Of course.
Like any Tarantino film, you know, there's, even though this film was extremely popular, they always garner like a cult following. But yeah, I guess the reason that he never made swords again, Haruo Hanzo, was because Bill tricked him into making the swords for all the Vipers. So he,
Right.
So
So
imagine how many
kill.
swords.
Yeah.
Imagine how many kills because of his swords.
Yeah, of course. He's responsible for a lot of
For a lot of death, at least 9.
At least 9 that we know of. But I mean, when you're the Viper Squad, the Assassination Squad, you
Yeah.
probably killed a lot more than 9.
But yeah, and him making the sword for the bride at the end was kind of balancing the scales, because now she was going to go and kill all of them.
Can I point out the irony in this film? A lot of women empowerment, a lot of lead, strong
Mm-hmm.
women lead roles. But I could not help to see at the very beginning, and we all know this by now with Quentin Tarantino, Uma Thurman, but the old Harvey Weinstein was one of the producers of this film.
Harvey Weinstein produced all of Quentin
Did.
Tarantino's film. All the films up until Hateful Eight.
Yes.
And
And it was a Miramax film too, which is part and hand in hand.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I can't remember who it was, but David Carradine, Vivica Fox, Daryl. Oh yeah, Daryl Hannah, who plays Ellie Driver, who is a code name, the California Mountain Snake. Oh. That's the lady who comes in with the eye patch, who's about to kill her with the drugs. Mm-hmm. She was one of the people that was raped by Harvey Weinstein.
You're shitting me.
She was one of the ones that came out during.
Wow.
Yeah. So
did that
and she's also from Blade Runner. She's the
2049?
No, the old Blade.
The original
she's
Blade
the main
Runner.
She's the blonde.
Oh, okay.
Who's the android.
Oh.
Yeah, at the end where she's doing the flips, remember?
Yeah, of course,
A lot of that's Daryl Hannah. She's very famous. But yeah, she was one of a ton of women to come out, and she was
Yeah, that's sad.
It's very sad.
Has that guy died yet? Can he just die in prison already? Him and Cosby.
You want him to die, and you kind of don't want him to die.
Yeah, you kind of want him to
but
be as miserable as possible.
You know he's getting the cushion, fucking padded cell, and the nicest shit.
Can't we just Epstein him?
I wish we could. I mean, they never Epstein the right people.
They don't. They never do. They never do. It's a weird thing.
But yeah, that's...
Do you see that piece of shit though when he showed up to court? He's like, he's like on a walker, like trying to get sympathy. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up.
Well, he showed up. He did the same thing again because remember the pictures came out when he was in the grocery store and he's just walking around.
No problem, right? But when he shows up to court, he's like a frail old man.
Yeah, that's whatever. Well, Cosby did the same thing with him being blind.
Yeah. I can't see, so therefore I could not.
Therefore, I couldn't rape these
40
people
years ago. Yeah, or drug them. Get the fuck out of here, Jack.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I know it's terrible, and Quentin Tarantino, obviously, he wasn't the victim.
Yeah.
But must weigh heavy on him to know that this guy that put so much confidence in Tarantino, literally made Tarantino, was the first person to give him a chance on Reservoir Dogs.
Yep.
That's what Weinstein did. He always picked up indie people. You kind of got to think maybe he did it because he knew he could take advantage of them.
Of course.
Because they weren't already high up, but yeah.
Well, and it's kind of the you owe me thing.
Exactly. You're already under their thumb immediately.
Right. But, and that was a lot of what Weinstein was about, is about the power.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure he had some fucked up sexual desires, don't get me wrong, but
what I heard, his dick wasn't even working at the end.
No, probably not.
That he had to just inject shit straight into his penis just to get his dick hard. So it really is.
Yeah.
When you're a serial rapist, it is 100. A rapist at all is just about power.
It's a power thing.
Yeah.
It's a power thing, yeah.
It's not really ever about being so sexually pent up that you just got it's a power thing. But yeah, Tarantino, it must weigh heavy on him to know that he kept this guy around. This guy was on set and whatnot, and knowing. But I do believe that if Tarantino knew any kind of shit that was going on, he would have cut ties immediately.
Yeah, Tarantino's one of those guys too, where it's like he doesn't give a fuck.
He's not he's not from Hollywood, so he doesn't have. I don't think he feels like he has that much to lose. He was. He as much as one of us as anyone, you know.
How many times has he spoke out against shit he doesn't like either?
Constantly.
All the time. Like, he is not that Hollywood guy at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, in some ways, you could say he could still be an outcast to this day.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to most, people who are yes men.
He's not Quentin Tarantino isn't being invited to Hollywood parties.
Of course not.
Because he's just going to go there and talk about film for 5 hours.
Yeah, people are like, dude, look, we're just here to get fucked up.
Dude, there is other things to talk about.
It's like, I just want to talk movies. Can I shoot this? What?
He's probably not, unless you're a diehard. I would love to sit down and talk to him.
As would I.
But
that'd be
9 times out of 10, people would be like, oh my God, is this guy going to stop? This is fucking horrible. This is killing me. But
wouldn't that be awesome one day? We can look back at this 10 years from now if we interview Quentin Tarantino.
Who knows? Who knows what he'll be in? Crazy to Quentin Tarantino will be in 10 years. He may just not be wanting to talk about film anymore.
It's true. But, this film was... and you know this, but this film was extremely successful at the box office. The budget for this film was $30 million. Turned around to the box office, almost made $200 million. Back in 2003, it was $180.9 million. That's a huge return.
That's awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good. Everyone should have saw this film.
Of course.
I would have loved to see this film.
I'm so curious because I guarantee Rotten Tomato probably didn't like this.
Oh, no, it's got high reviews.
Oh, it does?
Every Quentin Tarantino film has high reviews. Yeah.
It's not loading, damn it. But yeah, nonetheless, like Kill Bill, this film is just so much fun. It's so unique.
Has an 85% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course.
That's not bad.
This film is not just an action film. It does not sacrifice action for lack of plot or anything like that.
No, not
It's
at all.
still a Tarantino. It still has every Tarantino film. You just want to dive more into the characters because you feel like they're written so well.
Yes. And that's the thing too, is like they give you enough context to like the characters, but it's not overwhelming
Yeah.
or it's not too little where you're disinterested in the characters. Kind of like, like Christopher Nolan. Beautiful cinematography, the score and everything is just incredible, but his character development is not
Well,
nearly
he gives
as
you
good.
nothing.
Right. It's not nearly as good as a Tarantino film. in
Yeah,
their
absolutely.
characters,
Because it's just an overall, better filmmaking experience.
And it still leaves you with a lot of mysteries for who the bride is,
Yeah.
and her origins and her background.
Just that
which we'll get
little
in part
tiny,
two,
and
volume
you ask kind of why he did it, but just that little tiny beeping of the name
Mm-hmm.
immediately gives you like your ears perk up and
Yes.
you want to know more about this person because there's certain mystery around her.
Exactly.
But I love it. If you haven't seen it, this podcast has already gone a little long, which
Yes,
is
we typically go 30, but hey,
Yeah.
Tarantino deserves our extra 5
and
minutes.
we rarely get. I mean, he only has 8 films, so we rarely
So we
get the
gotta-
chance to talk about him as much. But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's on HBO MAX. It's fucking wonderful.
You have to go see this film.
Go see
If you
it
haven't yet.
and then see the second one because you're gonna want to immediately figure out how this ends.
Mm-hmm.
But and then come back next week for our next review
Yep.
because we'll be doing it
We're
all over
doing
again.
volume 2. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, Volume 2 it's just as good. It gets even crazier. It's fucking awesome.
Alrighty, well, that is our review for Kill Bill Volume 1. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. If you want to follow our podcast on audio format, you can do that on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. And if you guys want some Have You Seen It merch, you can find that link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus. And until next time.
Bye.